And we are back live here on the Cowboys Report, not even 24 hours after a bad Monday Night Football showing. I am Tom Downey, Stone Shields behind the scenes for the production of today's live show. The pinned comments will focus in on the head coach, even though we know it's ownership's fault. Will the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy mid-season this year? Jerry keeps saying no, and they weren't going to do it after a Monday night game before you go on the road against the Commanders. That timing didn't make any sense. But at some point this year, will he be fired mid-season? There are a couple of days I think you should maybe keep an eye out for a change coming with just the timing of the schedule and everything. So will the Cowboys fire McCarthy mid-season? Y for yes, N for no. Food Review says after Thanksgiving. That's one of them. Boy, if you lose to the Giants and Tommy DeVito on Thanksgiving, even though you are accepting the fact you're not going to be a good team, you're going to lose games, and you're going to tank anyway, that might be enough for Jerry to pull the trigger midseason. Even though he doesn't like playing coaches not to coach for him, and he keeps bemoaning the firings of Wade Phillips and Chan Gailey, and I just don't really get why, because they were right to do those things. Like those were fine decisions. It was the stuff after them that were bad, and this team doesn't ever learn the right lesson. It feels like. So will the Cowboys fire Big Mike midseason? 53% say yes, 47% say no. So pretty narrow polling there. We'll see. Not now, but maybe later. Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's video, because if you lose to the Giants, you get flexed out of Sunday Night Football. Ooh, that might be a time you do it there. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. They also offer injury insurance. Player goes down the first half, does not return, your pick still plays live, or is still alive, excuse me. Here's one of the Prize Picks slates we got going on this week here at Chat Sports. Christian McCaffrey, more than yards on the ground, and Christian Watson, less than receiving yards. I think a come-back down-to-earth game is coming for McCaffrey and company there. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get that $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's go to Mark, a $5 super chat here. Says Jerry Jones won't sign any free agents with huge holes at defensive tackle and rack. Out of that, McCarthy calls horrible plays. Make a statement, Jerry Jones, fire him. We need change. You do need change. And I want to emphasize this part too, because I think Mark and I are on board here. You need real change. Like we can bemoan the losses of Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn all we want. Hiring Dan Quinn, letting Brian Schottenheimer call your plays, I don't think would have been good enough. I think you need real change, outside the organization change, not just promoting somebody or hiring the second guy you interview. You need a real coaching search. You need real change. I don't care if that comes on November 25th. I don't care if that comes on November 30th. I don't really care when, but you need to get that change set up. Now, with that in mind, who do you think ends up being the next Cowboys head coach? Also, flash Prize Picks for me. I moved the photo location, so I just want to see where it is. Who do you want as the next Dallas Cowboys head coach? We'll give some shout-outs here on today's live show. There are some wrong answers. I will tell you if you have a wrong answer. But who do you want as Cowboys head coach? I think there are some very good answers. You can go down there as well. Vince has a good answer. I would love Ben Johnson. Am I worried the Cowboys are going to handle it properly and try to interview him, hire him? Yeah. But that's the first route I'd go down there. Nick Saban's not coming back. Ben Johnson. Stevens is not owning the organization right now. On board there. Mike Vrabel. Of like your former NFL head coaches that you could potentially hire that are available, or I think there are some maybe guys that might get fired I'd have interest in, like Stefanski. Vrabel intrigues me. The number one issue you're going to run into there is you can look at all the best head coaches in the NFL. A lot of them are offensive play callers. So, and when Vrabel was at his best in Tennessee, you had Matt LaFleur, you had Arthur Smith. Who's going to be his offensive play caller? Because if he says, I'm going to interview with this job and I'm going to hire Todd Downing, that's not going to work. That is not going to be a good outcome. So you have to explore, and you have to see who he's going to hire as offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury of Christmas never existed. I don't know if that means you want him or you don't want him, but I don't want him. He's not a good head coach. Also, he's falling into the same traps of offense starts off hot and then cools down every year with Cliff. B-Row wants me. They would not respect me. Rex Ryan, nope, don't want that. It's been a decade. No. Toad says Lincoln Riley. The only reason why Lincoln would be available is because it's not going well at USC. And that would be a little bit concerning. September, Cliff Kingsbury. Now we're talking. Food review. I like that one. That's funny. Roman Wolf Gaming's got Ben Johnson. Also says Dems can make another 80-year-old step down. I feel like we're talking about Jerry Jones there. I feel like that's what we're talking about, is what we're alluding to. Yeah, the egos are a little bit different involved there, though, for being honest. Here's today's Super Chat menu. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong, $500 for a custom Cowboys jersey. We'll wear it like we do Anthony's throughout the games. The 7 somehow, feels like it should be fewer, that are left. 28 more quarters until we're out of our misery this season. All right, how many more games do you think the Dallas Cowboys will win this year? Let me know in the comments of today's video. How many more games do the Cowboys have it in them to win? Just the schedule is, again, as we mentioned midseason, schedule gets a little bit easier down the stretch. Just might not be remotely enough to, or maybe too few games left to get the top 5 pick you're aiming for there. 0, 0, 2, 2, 1 win, 1 tie. I don't want to tie. If you get into overtime, just lose. Just lose. Like, have your young guys make some plays, have it be appealing, lose because your coaching staff sucks or players aren't going to be there to hurt you. Like, that's fine. That's fine. But I don't want to do a tie. I would be genuinely unhappy, which, like, I'm not really going to be down the stretch because worst case, you get a better draft pick. Otherwise, you win a game. It's fine. It's got 2, 2, 3. I want a top 3 draft pick. 3 and 14, baby. Schedule, you can beat the Giants. You can beat the Panthers. If you don't win those games, helps your draft stock. But, boy, that would be, there's your low point of the season. Told you guys a month ago, we haven't hit rock bottom. Still not hit rock bottom yet. Maybe losing the Giants on Thanksgiving is how you get to rock bottom. Although the Giants, they come off their bye. No, they had their bye last week. They're getting the new quarterback boost this week, which means maybe they win. Maybe they don't. Now, the goal of today's show is a 50% like ratio. If you want us to get it started, then simply like today's show. Not quite at the 50% number. Once again, more at a quarter number. So, like the video if you haven't already done so. It's free, simple, and very easy to do. Coming up on today's live edition of the Cowboys Report, some news, rumors, there's coaching conversation, there's injury updates, we'll get to all that. A mailbag, 2 ways to get on the show. Use hashtag Cowboys or skip the line altogether and super chat. And we will have a Cowboys mock draft as promised. Told you guys we'd do it. We will do a bunch of them. Half of you will hate my pick, give or take, in round 1. But that's how it's going to go since you don't have Travis Hunter range quite yet. We will do a Cowboys mock draft for you, so don't miss out on that. Hit that sub button, and we'll dive into today's show. Before we get into the latest on the Dallas Cowboys, we still have videos for you multiple times each and every single day right here on the channel. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Dallas Cowboys YouTube videos. Let's begin with this update from friend of the show, Mike Fisher, who reports that Mike McCarthy is selling his $5.7 million Dallas area mansion. I believe it's in Allen, Texas, is where it is right now. This is the details of what's happened with McCarthy as reported by Fish. July 2024, McCarthy puts his home up for sale. Now in November, he's found a buyer. That the sale is now pending, and it will be sold once all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, etc. Also worth mentioning as part of this is that after the 2023 campaign ended, McCarthy bought Dan Quinn's house from him. As Dan Quinn, I'm sure, was like, I got to sell this quick. Mike, you're maybe planning on selling yours? Cool. You buy mine, you sell yours, it'll be fine. Whatever the exact timing was there is, I'm sure, not quite fully known, but bought the Dan Quinn house instead. So, to recap, Big Mike sold the big house and going to keep the smaller house, at least for now, in the Dallas area. So, what does this mean? What does this mean? I don't think very much in the end. Look, we all know what the future is about to be for Mike McCarthy. It's not going to be in Dallas. It's going to be somewhere else. Maybe coaching, maybe not. So, when he sells his house or houses, I don't know if that really matters all that much. I don't think it's some smoking gun of, he's getting fired. Like, still has a house. Downsized a little bit. Kids are getting older. Doesn't need it. Now, I will make note. Jerry again said there was not going to be an in-season move. We're not going to fire Big Mike right now. They don't want to fire coaches mid-season. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. We know what's coming. He's not going to be here. Coming off a loss against the Houston Texans, there are two games that stand out to me as potential, okay, got to make a change moments, and I have had enough at this point. It's not this week, because you go from Sunday to Thursday game. That's teams don't make changes then. If you lose to Washington and you lose to the Giants on Thanksgiving, that could be a moment. That could be a moment Jerry goes, I can't take it anymore. We've lost, at that point, to be 7 straight games. You lose on prime time. You're going to get flexed out of the Tampa Bay game potentially. That might be the moment. Now, the Bengals in prime time and the Simpsons memes that will be prevalent. I've got a bunch locked up and ready to go, by the way. I'm going to tweet them out all week long. It's a Monday Night Football game. So Monday to a road game Sunday, probably not the best timing. If you lose to Carolina, the trend has been this year, somebody gets fired or someone loses their job. The Panthers firing god will demand a sacrifice. And it would probably be Mike McCarthy because you don't play till a full week. And then, beyond that, you're through week 15. It's week 16, week 17. You can do it if you want, but you kind of maybe don't have any benefits left there. Or at least realistic benefits from Jerry's perspective beyond appeasing the masses, which at some point he has to do. So will the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy mid-season? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's video. The ad comes here on YouTube. Let's go to Bill Belichick. Adam Schefter chiming in with the latest on Belichick and the Cowboys is, look, we know those rumors ain't going to stop, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. Here's what Schefter said on the Belichick latest. Lots of speculation swirling around what the Cowboys will do. People have even thought about Bill Belichick having been spotted in Dallas last week. Now, some people stopped the quote there. I don't really know why, because the rest of it is highly impactful. It can be confirmed Bill was in Dallas last week, but it wasn't to meet with the Cowboys. It was for a previously scheduled speaking engagement. Still, that doesn't stop the idea around the NFL, across the league, who continue to believe that Bill Belichick will be one of the top considerations for Jerry Jones after this season. This is the new version of the Sean Payton rumors. That's what this is. This is, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, big name coach. Jerry wants to make a splash, blah, blah, blah. It's not a surprise that this keeps getting floated out there. I don't think it surprises anybody. It's expected to an extent. But I want you to be honest here. What is the percent chance that the Dallas Cowboys end up hiring Bill Belichick? Is it a low number? Is it a higher number? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, I will make note, not just the Cowboys getting linked right now. Jacksonville also getting pushed as a potential destination since he's not going to go to the Jets, and the Saints don't make much sense, feels like, fit-wise either. Both Mike Florio and Diana Rossini pushing the Jags as a possible destination for Bill Belichick. What's funny here is both teams will move on from their coaches. I'm a little surprised the Jags didn't fire Doug Peterson during the bye week, at least not yet. But they will move on from those guys who just haven't done it yet. Bill Belichick can be interviewed earlier than most. He is out of a job. You can start that interview process, if you so choose, earlier. Now, you have to have other interviews happen, so you're not really getting any jump on the job necessarily. It's, you're just kind of, maybe you're getting an extra day, or you're allowing the backroom dealings to materialize, but you should do a real coaching search no matter what. You should not interview 5 people and call it a day or a week, whatever. You should do a real coaching search. Otherwise, you're going to potentially miss out on a really, really good candidate. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is the inventors of the flex play. So if you get one wrong, still come out on top. Now, that requires at least 3 picks. So this one is an all or nothing. It's the power play on Prize Picks. Christian McCaffrey more than yards on the ground, and the Christian Watson return to regression game, which is less than 43.5 yards receiving, of course. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Michael Irvin continued his campaign to get Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys. He asked Deion about it on one of the FS1 shows, alluded to it with the disastrous Netflix fight with Jerry Jones, and now is claiming sources have told him that Deion would take the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job, despite his public comments against it, if they drafted Shedeur Sanders. And the implication from Michael was that Deion was his source on that front, which something tells me Deion might not like that, by the way, might not like that laundry being aired. Here's the problem. As we've discussed before, Shedeur Sanders ain't happening. This Diana Rossini has mentioned it. Multiple other reporters have said, nah, this is not a realistic play for Dallas. Maybe a different team, like the Raiders could maybe go down that path there. But this is not a feasible, realistic option. And the big issue is the money. You can trade Dak and have a $103 million cap hit. Now, you're also eating massive dead money, not getting your roster better at beyond maybe the quarterback spot. And I think I speak for a lot of people here. I'd be willing to do this. Still, I would eat it if I were in quarterback range. If I thought this was a Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, etc., Caleb Williams-esque prospect. They're like, yeah, this is a no-doubt number 1 overall pick. I like Shedeur. That's not who Shedeur is as a prospect. It's okay to admit that and still say he's probably going to be my number 1 guy. So now you're just downgrading at quarterback, at least short-term. Maybe it's better long-term. Who knows? And not having draft assets, not having cap hits, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a realistic, rational plan beyond big media headlines. So who do you want as the next Cowboys head coach? Belichick, Deion, somebody else altogether? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Cowboys injury updates go with Jake Ferguson. He left and was very quickly ruled out with a concussion against the Houston Texans. Jerry Jones making a comment that they didn't like what they saw. They were worried about him there. Kind of made a comment like after the game it was pretty obvious, which makes me think that he was still showing some symptoms of his concussion, which is not a good sign. So concussion protocol, it's a week, it's 2 weeks, it's whatever. But you play on Sunday now. You've got 6 days. I don't think he's going to be out there, which means more Brevin Spanford, more Luke Schoonmaker. They'll do more Princeton fan as well. Leaves them thin at the tight end. Hopefully Hunter Lipke is back for this week's game as well. And then your offensive line just got decimated by this one. Tyler Guyton goes down. Tyler Smith goes down. Zach Martin goes down. And it's the Martin one that is maybe the most disheartening in general. Suffered injury apparently to both ankles. In a season where he has been banged up, it's the back, it's the shoulder, it's been all kinds of things. This is the end of Zach Martin. And it's frankly just not fair that this is how it ends for a first ballot, I would argue, Hall of Famer and a no doubt Hall of Famer, one of the greatest guards to ever play the game. This is not fair. It's another player in a very long list in the past 25-ish years under Jerry Jones that they didn't win the way you were supposed to win with that caliber of player. There's a long list of Hall of Famers, a long list of Ring of Honor guys that it just wasn't enough. I don't know if we'll see Zach Martin play again this year. I don't want him to go out that way, but the body is beginning to fail, and it's showing on the field too. So will Zach Martin play again this year? 1 for yes, 0 for no. More offensive line issues here. I merged injuries and issues into one word somehow. Tyler Smith had his ankle injured last night. His status very much TBD. We'll figure out what happened there. Tyler Guyton also apparently re-injured his shoulder on the, I'm just going to call it comical, dual fumble scoop and score, which is doubly frustrating for Guyton because first off, you allow the sack. Can't have it. You also recover the ball and just go down. Don't play hero ball. Appreciate help in the tank. Don't try to scoop and score and get first downs or something. Just go down. It happens. Then you compound the fumble. What's triply frustrating is Guyton was actually playing very well in that game. In fact, the last several games, I've seen better play out of Tyler Guyton. He is not getting beat as much in pass protection. He's not lunging as much and headbutting guys. The run blocking's been better. The flags have gone down. He looks like a better player right now. But he's got to be out there and getting those reps he needs. And if the shoulder's an issue again, I don't think your offensive line coach and head coach like playing 2 first-year players, by the way. I don't think that they're a fan of that. So they're benching them when they get the chance to sometimes. That's unfortunate. I've seen better growth. I want them to keep playing. So hopefully, keep seeing more of that as the year goes along. That's the whole point of a young guy. Not going to be great week 1, week 4, but can go a little bit further along and continue to get better. I want you guys to get your questions in for the mailbag today. That is by using hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to skip the line altogether. We've got the 2 ones earlier from Mark and Roman Wolf. Thank you all very much for those Super Chats. You can get them in right now via hashtag Cowboys or by Super Chatting. XL, I see you. We'll get to those Super Chats, or those hashtag Cowboys, I should say, in a minute. As a reminder, the Super Chat menu today. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong, and $500 for the custom Cowboys jersey, or just any Super Chat, and we'll feature it on the show. Get your regular questions in via hashtag Cowboys as well. A $25 super thanks from Lucas Anderson that came in mid-game. Not really sure how, but it did. Does got to tie this up, Texans all day. My roommate is a Cowboys fan. I'm a Texans fan. It should be an interesting night. Interesting was maybe not the word I would use for it. Maybe for Houston it was interesting. Maybe not so much for Dallas. But if you send in a super thanks, even if it is mid-game, we'll give you a shout-out. Thank you very much, Lucas. It is a feature on YouTube. It allows you to donate outside of live videos. Click your thanks icon. Edit your message. As long as you don't make an ism, you know what I mean. You can send in whatever you want, and we'll give you a shout-out. So get those super thanks in. Mighty Ants 0215. I'm Tom's second kid. Joking about the Tom's third kid. Super thanks from last week. Go for Travis Hunter. Tank for Hunter. If you can get to that pick and get the best player in the draft, who am I to say no? Or this is pure hopium. This is pure hopium. But what if you can get to like 4 or 3 and Deion behind the scenes goes, I don't want to send Travis Hunter to Jacksonville. I'm going to get him to Dallas. Pure hopium, borderline delusionalness. But that's the pipe dream perspective, or you just get the top 5 pick instead. Matt Temple. If we hire Deion as our head coach, we should change our name from the Cowboys to the Ringling Brothers, calling it a circus. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's just not going to go well. The things that Deion does do very well work at the college level. Don't apply to the NFL. So just let him be at Colorado, maybe get the Florida State job down the line, be a great college coach. Don't ask him to come try to apply it to the NFL. Mighty Ant0215 coaches says Ben Johnson for head coach, Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey as the OC. I don't even get Dorsey. It doesn't really matter that much. If you have Ben Johnson, the OC is not really as impactful. I think every NFL team that is going to be searching for a head coach this year, they're going to say, we want Ben Johnson, and Robert Saleh is going to be the name for DC. It's a logical pairing. Good defensive coordinator. The Jets have gotten worse since they fired him, by the way, especially on defense. He's a former NFL head coach, helped guide the young head coach. I think everybody's going to be asking for Johnson and Saleh, not just in Dallas, but most NFL teams out there. So who do you want as the next Dallas Cowboys head coach? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to go out and acquire? From Mark, talking about Mike up. What are the chances we trade Parsons? He has a big mouth, a top 5 pick, and 2 number 1s for him. Would be a Herschel Walker-like thing for us. Jerry Jones is an idiot. I don't think you're getting a top 5 pick and 2 more 1s for him. Like this kind of becomes the, if you can get that much for a player, are you supposed to be trading him? And if you can't get that much for him, or if you then is it worthwhile? Like I think we've got like this. We don't want this player. Let's get the biggest trade since Herschel Walker. That's a dichotomy that doesn't make much sense to me. Now, could you get 2 1s? Yeah, I think that's very doable, very reasonable. But I don't know how realistic it is to get a top 5 pick and 2 number 1s. And if that's the route you want to go, okay, you should make that decision, by the way, if you trade him or pay him before the free agency cycle begins. Because there's no point in holding him that long. Make the move early. Or you should pay him early and bring down his cap hit so you can spend more money, actually be aggressive for once in an offseason. So what would you do with Micah Parsons? P for pay him, T for trade him. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Jeff Warren, how many losses would we need to get to secure a top 5 draft pick? It's a great question. You currently sit 3-7. The issue you will run into, for the most part, and this will ebb and flow a little bit, is of the teams in the top 13, you have the best strength of schedule. Now, you're tied with the Raiders in that conversation. And what else happens is going to influence that at least a little bit. But you're not going to win tiebreakers. Well, I guess in this case, you will win tiebreakers, but it's going to hurt your draft stock and put it down there. So you are, in reality, a game out of 5 spot right now. But even if all the number 2 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 9, if they all win a game, well, you still kind of are only at 6, even if you lose all the rest. So, that's the issue you run into, where you're gonna have to have more losses. You're not gonna win tiebreakers. So, I think if you get to 5 wins, I think you're outside the top 5. I think you lose a tiebreaker, you're picking 6 or 7. You get to 4 wins, I think you're in that, maybe at 5, just inside of it range. If you don't win a game the rest of the season, you still might not get the number 1 overall pick. Now, you knock out the Panthers and Giants from that conversation for you in the process, but someone's got to win. I think there's a Tennessee Jags game down the stretch this year. But you got a chance to rise in the draft stock and draft order, but it's not a locked-in thing yet. Now, today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Ollie. Clean, fresh nutrition for your dog. Comes in 5 flavors they will absolutely love. They are currently offering a fantastic deal to let your pup taste test a personalized meal plan. Get 60% off your first box of meals when you use promo code CHATSPORTS over at ollie.com. A perfectly proportioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. Who doesn't want more time with their best friend? Fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz. They'll create a customized meal plan, and they crunch the numbers and recommend the right recipes and daily portions for your pup. For any first-timers, Ollie will send out your pup's first box with 2 weeks' worth of meals and a guide on how to gradually switch them over to their new diet. You can customize your plan. There's 3 different meal plans to choose from. Full fresh plan, a fresh topper plan, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes. My dog Finn is a big fan of it. The Grays have added to him over the years because he's got to deal with now 3-year-old toddler Olivia, and that's just a lot for him. Head to ollie.com. Tell them all about your dog. Use code CHATSPORTS, and you'll get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. That's OLLIE.com. Enter code CHATSPORTS to get 60% off your first box. They offer a clean bowl guarantee on their first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. Mark Hobbsbane, or I forgot how to pronounce Mark, so I always forget how to do it, so sorry, Mark. Issue is what head coach will put up with Jerry Jones. Very valid point. Could be a big argument against Ben Johnson. You got to deal with the meddling. He's also very patient with you, which is a pro. They actually have some pieces in place. Like, the jobs that are open. The Saints or the Cowboys. Boy, isn't the Cowboys' job better? The Jets, that job doesn't look very good. Some other jobs might come open that are certainly better. But you're firing coaches. Those jobs normally aren't that great. That's why you might see guys like Ben Johnson be picky. For Mark again, I meant our pick. Okay, now I get it. Plus 2 ones. Okay, now I see what you're saying. Then we're on the same ballpark of about the right value there for Micah if you wanted to trade him. Vince, isn't the best case scenario to lose out, hire Ben Johnson, trade down with the QB team for at least a future first? I might say I'm going to take Travis Hunter on that front. But, yeah. Like, I would be a lot more intrigued of taking a quarterback, even with the Dak situation, if I thought one of these guys was a Caleb Williams, a Trevor Lawrence, a Joe Burrow type of prospect. I don't think they're in that ballpark. Now, they're better than the Kenny Pickett draft, I think especially Shedeur and Cam Ward, but both those guys have very real red flags and limitations and concerns and all of those things that make you go, that's, given where we're at as a franchise, quarterback isn't something we should just be desperately taking at this time. Now, we will have free Cowboys videos for you guys all season long. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Dash XL. Why are the fans mad at Rush after wanting to start over Dak? This is what we deserve. I don't know if you've seen it, but what are your thoughts on the Lamb and Trayvon in the Club for the L video? So, I can only speak for those who didn't. Well, I guess 2 answers here. If you wanted Rush to start over Dak, you're mad because you thought he was better than he actually was. And if you didn't want to start over Dak, well, you just don't like losing. Right? Lamb and Trayvon, I honestly don't care that much. Like, it's after work hours. As long as you showed up at the office on Tuesday, you weren't hungover, you were locked in, fine. I don't really care. You're allowed to have a personal life. Plus, the season's over. Like, it's not like they're out there partying the night before a game. Do it afterwards. It's not a big deal. Stop searching your name on Twitter. That's what I may be more concerned about. Jeff Warren, Tom, what's your dream scenario for the Cowboys? We will do an entire video on that. Head coaching, free agency, draft, all of it. We got you covered. From Luke Cornelius, would hiring a coach mid-season be smart or no? Raiders did that last year and already got rid of him. Well, they haven't. It's Antonio Peach is still there. You're not, if you fire Mike mid-season, it's an interim. That's all you're doing. You're not hiring a guy full-time for the rest of the year. That's not the plan at all. It's, you're kind of doing some appeasement, basically, and or you just need to get something better going on in that locker room. Chris Jones, is Jason Witten a real option as head coach? I hope not, but I think so. Jerry already made Jerry literally said the exact thing I said he was going to say. I'm like, Jerry's going to say, Jason Witten can be our Dan Campbell. And that is exactly what Jerry Jones said, because he is so damn predictable. The difference here is that Dan Campbell spent 10 years as an NFL assistant, did a damn good job, and then also just was an interim too. Jason Witten coaches high school ball. Come on. Tight ends coach? Hell yeah. Let's ride. Head coach? No. What is your confidence level in the Cowboys hiring the right head coach? I think the answer is no here. Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comments section. Food review. Is this not the dream scenario for being in a lame duck year? Potential top 5 pick with a reset. Hunter upside of Champ Bailey as a corner. Emmanuel Sanders as a slot. If you can get Travis Hunter, you feel great about that. It's not, Tim Duncan, David Robinson. It's not too many players in the field to make that actually work out. But that's how you get like that. Okay, cool. We timed it pretty well. If you can get Hunter, I think you're honest with me there, dude. Dash XL. How can you trust him to hire Ben Johnson or anybody for next season? And even if we do, how do you think he will utilize Lamb and run the ball? I mean, I think there is an obvious solution to running the ball. Get to the outside. I don't understand how anyone with an NFL Pro account and the All-22 can go, okay, Texans are weak on the outside. They should go to the outside. And the Cowboys went up the middle. The consistent theme of this coaching staff, especially on offense, actually not so much on the defense side of the ball, frankly, is stubbornness. They want to do the things that they think work, and they will not listen to other options. They don't run the ball on the outside. They keep running that sprint out play. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of a lost season that they keep calling the sprint out play, but it's a symptom, it's an example of what's wrong with this coaching staff. Their go-to play doesn't work, and they keep calling it. It's embarrassing. We don't wipe these 304s. Cowherd said we should draft Shedeur Sanders. We'll have a video on that. It wasn't just draft Shedeur. It was also trade Micah to go get Shedeur. We'll discuss that because it's look, Cowherd and Dez and Michael and Cowboy fan, bunch of numbers on Twitter, all want Shedeur. Tells me it's a bad idea. This is the super chat menu for today's show. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong, $500 for the custom Cowboys jersey. Get those in the comments section if you want to do that there. And also let me know how many more games Dallas will win this year. Someone said, Skip said the Cowboys should start Cooper Rush. Yeah, because Skip's a dumbass. I don't know what to tell you guys there. We've been over that one with Skip. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not even a real Cowboys fan. He just pretends to be online. Told you that one. How many more games will the Cowboys win? 0. See about the 0 there. Michael's got his zeros in there. I see 2, 1. It's interesting. I just don't know what they're gonna do. Will says Jerry's a gambler. Operate this franchise is so. They don't gamble actually. They are not. They just check. That's all they do. This year was the definition of check. It was not all in. They did not do anything to go all in. They checked. And the dealer kept saying, you can't check, sir. He checks and goes, I'm all in. No, they just kept checking. They didn't do anything. That's all they've done for 20 years now. Check on this year. All right, check. There's bleeding chips along the way. They don't gamble. They don't put their chips into the pool. They just sit there and people fold around them, and sometimes they get a decent hand and they make the playoffs. That's all it is. 369 from James Carr. Nice. Get the comments in. How many more games will the Cowboys win this season? We're about to break down my first Cowboys mock draft of the season. Now, this is based on the current NFL draft order. Dallas has the number 9 pick. I use the Pro Football Network simulator because it has some of the comp picks, the projected ones, and it's got trades, and it's got a deeper pool of players. It's not quite perfect, especially in November. I'm not I'm not going to do trades, too complicated. The Sims can be bullied, where, hey, this guy is way too easy to adjust and it's fixable and it's just not I can manipulate it because it's just not set up the way it's supposed to be. Additionally, I can't fill all my needs. As much as I would like to be able to, I don't have the premium picks available to make it work. I can't fix everything all at once. I don't have the assets available. Now, we will do a lot of these mock drafts. So if you're about the 50% who don't like my first-round pick or other picks, don't worry. We'll do plenty of other ones along the way. So share that video if you want more of them in the future. Now, Cowboys picking number 9. Here were the simmed picks here. Travis Hunter goes to Jacksonville. No surprise there. Shedeur Sanders goes 2. Will Johnson goes 3. Cam Ward goes 4. Ted McMillan goes 5. Abdul Carter goes 6. Will Campbell to the Jets at 7. Nick Scorton goes number 8. So among your players who are left on the board here, got Michael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia, plus other guys. You got James Pierce is available. Mason Graham, the Michigan defensive tackle. Ashton Jeanty is there out of Boise State. Luther Burden out of Missouri, a wide receiver. I like Kelvin Banks. For me, this came down to 2 players. Jeanty out of Boise State and Mason Graham. And I want to get this out of the way early. You guys, some of you out there, need to stop scouting the helmet. You might not like the winged helmet, and they might give you trauma from Mozzie Smith and Taco Charlton and Luke Schoonmaker. This is a different player. This is a different caliber of prospect than those guys were. Mason Graham is exactly what I have been asking this team to add for years now at the defensive tackle spot. He is disruptive. He is productive. He gets after the quarterback. He can stop the run. He is going to be a top 10 player in this year's class. If you really want Ashton Jeanty, fine. I'll say this. You have to spend money in free agency. Because otherwise, what you're doing is you're taking Saquon Barkley and putting him on the Giants and not Philadelphia. Because the supporting cast isn't good enough, and all of a sudden the running back doesn't look nearly as good as he does if the supporting cast around him was better. You need defensive tackle help too. I think Graham is just as good of a caliber of prospect as Ashton is. Not a bad pick. Just pretend he went to Michigan State. It's all you have to do. So pick one, and we will do a mock draft where I take Jeanty. Don't worry, we will make that happen. MG for Mason Graham, AJ for Ashton Jeanty. Let me know in the comments, the pinned comment actually of today's show. All right, some notable picks as we move to round 2. Unfortunately, I missed, maybe fortunately because I took DT early. Tariq Williams, Deion Walker, both off the board. Could have been, if you take Jeanty, go DT there in round 2. That's reasonable. Travion Henderson off the board. 2 right tackle options off the board as well. But I'm okay going back in round 2. Think of Marion Hampton out of North Carolina. And this has number 1 running back ability. He's not as good as Ashton is, but he's a damn good prospect in his own right. Highly productive this past season at North Carolina and back in 2024. UNC is not a good football team. Have you watched that quarterback play? It's a disaster. Or the quarterbacks, I should say, for the Tar Heels. Hampton keeps putting up numbers, though. In a very, very, very good running back class, you have the ability to get a good one in round 2, get a good one in round 3, get a good one in round 4. Oh, you don't have a 4th-round pick. That's a bit unfortunate. Take Hampton in round 2. A Graham Hampton stat compared to, well, I guess you did have Derek Harmon on the board, which was kind of funny to see him there, based on the best available from the PFN sim. Could have gone that one, too. He's got a pretty popular buzz there. I will mention Harold Perkins because that is a very on-brand Cowboys pick. They love taking hurt guys in round 2, don't they? Kevin Winston's a fun piece. Evan Stewart brings you speed. Hasn't been, I was always going to be at Oregon. That's a little bit rich for me. But it's early. The season's not over yet. These rankings are going to change drastically between now and even the end of the season at this point. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is available in 30 states: California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. It has an injury insurance policy. Player goes down the first half, does not return. Your lineups stay live even if one of your players gets hurt. It's an awesome feature. Here's one of the, I'm going to ride my boy Chase Sr.'s prize picks. He's been kind of hot lately. Christian McCaffrey, more than 78.5 yards on the ground. Christian Watson, more than 43.5 receiving yards. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. That $50 is guaranteed, by the way. You don't have to win. You just got to play that first $5 lineup. Some notable recent picks. A couple receivers I like off the board. And plus Barron at Texas, who's like a really fun piece. I think would be a lot of fun. Plus I love my safeties. You guys know me. Restrepo's a slot, but he's really good. I like Trey Harris at Ole Miss as well. There was a receiver I liked, though. And that's my boy Alec Eomanor out of Stanford. Now, he's not a burner, but he is a nice, bigger size receiver that can be your X, which I don't think you really have right now on this roster. Sorry, Tolbert. Sorry, Jonathan Bingo. The production has not been great this year. That's because Stanford's quarterback play sucks. They got nobody. There is at least, feels like, one play a game where Alec Eomanor is just making ridiculous catches. You can go find, I think it was the Virginia game, where he's just like skying and making an unbelievable grab. He's had a 55-yard touchdown against Louisville again this year, had a 60-yard score against NC State. Like he continuously makes, Virginia Tech I think was the game actually. He makes really good plays. Got good size. He's listed at 6'2", 210. The quarterback play has hidden him. He's really, really good. There were some other notable players here on the board as well. Jack Cornelius out of Oregon. Jabbar Muhammad could be a fun nickel corner option for you a little bit out of Oregon. I think he can play nickel in the NFL. Dante Corleone, the Godfather from Cincinnati. It's a fun fit. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. I think he's going to go earlier. But again, it's a great running back class. You can find a guy on day 2 and feel pretty good about your pick there. Now, regardless of round, who do you want the Cowboys to draft this year? Any round, any player, let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, we will skip ahead since there is no 4th round. We won't do nearly as many of the here were the guys on the board because we've also got a bunch of 5th round picks. First up is the Purdue offensive tackle, Marcus Bowe, my bad, the M silent, who is, I think, is an underrated player right now. There's been some Senior Bowl like hype and stuff from him. He has played right tackle for Purdue. Has allowed 4 sacks this year, but not that many hits and hurries. I think he's a solid run blocker. I think he probably goes top 100. So, longer term right tackle option is good. Also worth mentioning, we're in day 3. We're in the 5th round. You're probably not going to be able to get instant starters in the 5th round. That's not operating how reality works for the Cowboys. So if you want instant starters, got to take them in the first 3 rounds. And you don't, or maybe the first 4 rounds, only have 3 picks there. All right, let's go back to the trenches here. Let's double dip at tackle, because if I were the Cowboys, I would sign a DT, I'd draft a DT, I'd either spend a day 3 pick via trade or another one. I would load up at picks on the defensive line. Shamar Turner can do some inside stuff, can do some outside stuff, has been productive in years past. He's part of a loaded Texas A&M defensive line. That's why the sack numbers are down. Guys like Shamar Stewart and Nick Scorton are getting home earlier. Like, makes it a little bit easier for you. Turner's a damn good football player on the interior. I like that fit for the Cowboys. Kobe Bryant, it's actually Jacoby, but I'd probably go by Kobe there too. You might need cornerback depth. We'll see what happens with Jordan Lewis. I don't know how long the duo of Diggs and Bland are going to be together at this point. He's made some plays on the football. 4 interceptions this year. And one of the reasons why I picked Bryant for the Cowboys out of Kansas, he will support in the run. He is one of the better tackling corners in college football. That is draft eligible right now. 32 tackles. He doesn't miss very many of them. He will actually tackle which you don't really have right now in the cornerback room on a consistent basis. Now, if you want more free Dallas Cowboys draft videos, come to the right spot. Hit the sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Free Cowboys videos all season long. Round 5, I actually like the idea of double dipping in the backfield, especially if you don't take Genty in round 1. At that point, maybe you don't double dip. Damian Martinez is a bigger runner. He's listed at 230 and some change there. I think he pairs pretty well with Amarian Hampton in the Cowboys backfield. Began his career at Oregon State, ran for about 6 yards per carry. Now at Miami, Florida, running for about 6 yards per carry in a more aerial attack offense. I like Martinez. And also, his workload has not been overly high in his college career. He's not going to have 700 carries like some of these backs end up doing. So day 3, I am not opposed to spending a day 2 pick and a day 3 pick on a back. I think, especially if you don't retain Rico Dowdle for whatever reason, you got to get more talent in there. This might be my favorite pick, actually, relative to the value. It's not the number 1 player, obviously. Antoine Powell-Ryland. I don't really know why he's not getting more love right now, because he has been really good this year for Virginia Tech. He is actually second this season in sacks. He's got 13. His pressure rate is 15 and change, which is indicative of, okay, he's just getting a lot of pressures. It's not like it's all fluky stuff there. He had 9.5 sacks last year for the Virginia Tech Hokies. He's been awesome. Now, he's not a great run defender, but a situational pass rusher in the 6th round who's been super productive, yeah, that makes sense to me. We'll see how he tests. I think that's a valid concern, but I don't think there are that many guys that can get, double-digit sacks in the ACC basically back-to-back years and have zero talent. Like, get some juice in there. You can keep Nealand. Nealand's more of a run setter anyway. There's another pass rush guy when you don't know what you're going to have out of Sam Williams moving forward. Round 6, again, I got my safety, who I think is going to go way earlier, by the way. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. A true breakout campaign this year for the Fighting Irish safety. You guys know that I'm a sucker for safeties, and you know how much I like ball skills. Look at that production from Xavier Watts. 12 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, 7 INTs last year. The Sims are kind of broken. He should not be available in the 6th round, but that is a damn good safety prospect that I'm just gonna take advantage of the Sims. Like, I will simply draft the good players. I've often said that. That's all you have to do. Round 7, Jay Higgins out of Iowa. Pretty good coverage linebacker for the Hawkeyes, by the way. Good tackle numbers too, if you value that. I think at minimum, this is depth at linebacker and can be a core special teamer for you. Again, this guy averages about 10 tackles per game the past 2 years. Now, the numbers will be down a little bit this year because Iowa's not on defense as much this year. There aren't as many plays for them from just the per down basis perspective. But 7th round, linebacker depth, special teams help. There you go. So to recap the mock draft, sorry I can't fill all the needs. Mason Graham, Amarian Hampton, Elike Omenor, Marcus Bowe, Shamar Turner, Kobe Bryant, Damian Martinez, Antoine Powell-Ryland, Xavier Watts, Jay Higgins. Grade the Cowboys mock draft for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off. You can be honest. I can take it in the comment section of today's show. We owe some super chats and shots here. We'll get to that in just a second. But you can also vote on will the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy mid-season. Y for yes, N for no. 58% say no. Think you're right, but they lose to the Giants on Thanksgiving. Could be your first moment to change things there. $20 per draft from Drew DTX. Sad with no Trevor Lawrence snaps. Watching Cooper rush the ball 55 times drove me insane. Josh Butler was horrid. I want to lose for a higher draft pick, but I want to see some people come back next year and make some fantasy plays. I agree. I will say I kind of thought Josh Butler was like a little bit better than Kalen Carson was. It's also the bar is lower. Like, that's a UFL player in the NFL. Like, he's not supposed to be good. You know? We want Deron Bland back out there, unfortunately. Yeah, Mike said there was going to be some packages for Trey Lance. Okay. Mike said he wants to run the ball more and then doesn't run the ball. So we'll see if there's a Trey Lance package or not this week. I have my doubts. Or at least, beyond he gets like the third drive and then doesn't play again. Like, that would be very on brand for Mike. You know? Cheers. Brandon J. Let's play a game, Tom. Dangerous game. Out of all these potential head coaches that's failed expectations this year, which one would you like to have the most? Shanahan, McDaniel, Stefanski, Steichen, or other to make the offense fun again? Shanahan, number one. Like, why get the offshoot when you get the real thing? That's just a no-brainer. I might go Stefanski too. He's won Coach of the Year twice. Now he gets a good quarterback. Like, the Colts stuff has been really ugly this year, but that might be an ownership thing. I think I'd go McDaniel, Steichen. But all of those, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Offensive play calling head coach, sure. Situations out of their control, let's do it. Cheers. But I mean, all those guys get the best quarterback they've ever had as a head coach. If you get the 2023 version, at least. Michael Sutton. What's the percent chance that Steele will be released this offseason? I think Guyton would be better on the right side. We start over at left tackle. Guyton says he's better on the left side. That's what he played growing up to, or before the 1 year at Oklahoma. So, like, I'd be a little surprised if they flip Guyton back to the right side. Now, if you spend a top 5 pick, okay, different conversation. But my investment is pretty high in Guyton. I want to maximize that. If that is on the left side, keep him there. I think good chance Steele gets moved on from. I will say, I think your O-line coach is a football terrorist. I think he is causing massive issues. Because Solari comes in and Steele gets worse. Zach Martin got worse. Hell, Tyler Smith hasn't been as good this year either. Kind of feels like an offensive line coaching issue. It's also like, Steele is at his best as a run blocker. We all know that. He's not the same. He's an average at best pass protector, even when he was at his best 2 years ago. So what do? You put him on an island. Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, when we pan a guy that I can't put on an island, different conversation. But, like, this coaching staff does not play to the strengths and weaknesses. They just do what they want to do. And I don't think Mike Solari is any good. So, Chris B., this Deion Sanders thing is going to be annoying. Yeah, it is. But it's also the Cowboys. It's that this is how it goes. You're just going to have to deal with stupid ideas. Because everyone wants to talk about Dallas. Like, Cowboys get blown out on prime time. What is ESPN talking about the next morning? Not Houston. Not the team that won. Dallas still. It's annoying. We'll be live again on Thursday. A lot of live shows this week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, of course, as well for the Cowboys-Commanders game. I hate losing to Washington. They're going to win that game. Oh, well, hit that sub button. We'll be live for it. We'll have our misery together. YouTube.com/CowboysTV.